All right, we've got some breaking news in the Jodi Arias case. Some important documents just filed with the court out there in Arizona. Our own Beth Karras has gotten her hands on the documents. She can tell us the latest. Beth Karras, what's the headline?
Hello, Vinny. Well, the court just filed a decision by the judge rendered a week ago, and that is a denial of the defense's motion for a mistrial based upon prosecutorial misconduct and a denial of the defense's motion to throw out the theory of felony murder. The state has charged one count of first-degree murder, saying it's premeditated, but there's an alternative theory of felony murder. There's a big discussion about that on Friday. They're saying there's no evidence that this was a burglary with an intent to commit a crime in there, and the judge said, yeah, there is, because even though she entered the premises with permission, that permission to be in his house was withdrawn as soon as she started stabbing him. And so it's a burglary. What crime did she intend to commit? Well, it's anything from a murder on down to an aggravated assault. She was assaulting him, and the judge said yes. She cited case law. This is going to the jury. That means, Vinny, that when the jury is deciding this case in the next few weeks, when they consider first-degree murder, they don't have to agree, all of them, that it's premeditated or it's felony murder. They can be split on that. Some could say, yeah, she went there with the plan. Others could say, well, she might have decided she wanted to hurt him only, and it turned into a killing. And that's okay, because that would support felony murder.
Big headline, because I think a lot of us thought that perhaps the defense could get that second theory thrown out, and then it'll be all about premeditation or no premeditation. So now you've got two roads to first degree, which is the road to death row, right, Beth?
Correct. The jury could get, if the jury finds her guilty of first-degree murder, she could get death, because it will go on to a few more phases after that. There'll be more evidence, more testimony, as the jury will decide whether or not there's justification for death.
All right, Beth, so that's the huge headline from today. What's the headline for Monday? What's going to happen inside that courtroom on Monday?
Yeah, another document was filed, which we obtained today. It was filed yesterday by the defense, and that is a notice of a witness they intend to call on Monday. A guy named Gus Searcy from Riverside County, California. We don't know anything about Gus Searcy, but we heard his name in court when court was last in session. And Juan Martinez said, look, I don't have any problem with, Gus Searcy, but I want him available during this week hiatus so I can talk to him. I want him brought here to Phoenix, and the defense objected to that. But, so I don't know if Gus Searcy had to come here to talk to Juan Martinez. But that little one-page notice that they filed saying we want to call Gus Searcy, they say he's going to speak to the issue of prosecutorial misconduct. Do not know what misconduct they're talking about. It's not in the document that was filed. There was nothing discussed in open court about it. So we don't know who Gus Searcy is to this case. If he's a potential witness in the on the guilt phase. I have no idea what this is all about, but we'll see on Monday.
But when you say those magical words, prosecutorial misconduct, those are powerful words when we're in the middle of a death penalty case, Beth. What happens if this judge finds that there was prosecutorial misconduct?
Well, it's hard to predict. There are all sorts of remedies. However, we always hear death is different. Courts really scrutinize capital cases much more closely. Of course, if the verdict is guilty of first-degree murder and the verdict is death, then there's all kinds of scrutiny on appeal. If the verdict is something under that, then it's not going to get the same kind of scrutiny. But at this point, the judge needs to be really careful that there's no error in the record in the event this jury sends her to death row. So when you hear prosecutorial misconduct, you say, oh no. It could be just a sanction, an admonition. It could be some sort of something harmless. It could be nothing. She's not found prosecutorial misconduct in the allegations made by the defense thus far. But maybe this is going to be different. I don't know. Could it be a mistrial? Who knows? There are all sorts of options.
All right. So let's just slice this up a little. Not slice this up. Let's break this down a little bit. The basis of the prosecutorial misconduct here. What has the defense alleged so far that this prosecutor, Juan Martinez, and his team have done wrong, that have prejudiced Jodi Arias, that have prevented her from getting some sort of a fair trial here?
The defense raised several times during the trial sort of this ongoing allegation of misconduct, which the judge denied. Okay, she did not find misconduct, but they said that there were text messages. We know there were hundreds of text messages and communications in the years that Jodi Arias and Travis Alexander knew each other and were communicating. They met in September 2006. She killed him on June 4th, 2008. So you got almost a 2-year period. And a lot of the time, it was a long-distance relationship, so there's a lot of communication. And when Travis Alexander's phone was recovered after he died, according to the prosecution, and there's really not been any credible challenge to that because the courts have denied these allegations, they didn't have a way to retrieve the text messages and print them out and give them to the defense. I think like the phone might have been available for them to look at, but not to print them out and give them to the defense. That technology, though, became available in 2010, and when it became available, they printed them out and gave them to the defense. Okay, so they did get them 2 years before trial or more, but not immediately when the phone was recovered. The defense has been challenging that, saying that the state could have done it sooner or should have done it sooner, and witnesses have been, a little fuzzy in their testimony. There was somebody from a cell phone company who testified last week that, text messages were retrieved, I guess in 2008. And so the defense was like, see, they retrieved them in 2008, and we didn't get them until 2010. But the witness apparently didn't mean that they could have printed them out in 2008. So that's the kind of stuff they were saying was misconduct on the part of Juan Martinez, at least if I'm understanding it all correctly. But the judge is like, no, as soon as the technology was made available, I mean, you got it. And you got it like way in advance. It's not like you got it in the middle of trial. It's not like you got it the day before trial.
So yeah, they got it in 2010, and it's 2013. So that should give most lawyers, ample time to investigate and do whatever they need to do. Beth Karras, thanks so much for all that breaking news. Again, the big story: 2 roads now to first-degree murder still in play for this prosecution team and for this jury to consider. Felony murder still on the table. You know what? This jury has been asking questions, because this is one of those jurisdictions where the jury's allowed to ask questions. So it kind of takes you into the mindset of what this jury may be thinking. Some of these questions the jury has asked so far has me questioning, what is this jury thinking? We'll break it down next. She is an admitted killer. Jodi Arias now says she brutally killed her ex-boyfriend to save her own life. She no longer denies being there. She doesn't say anyone else did it. The whole trial now is about why she did it. Self-defense versus premeditated, cold-blooded murder by a woman obsessed. But the victim had roommates, and the lead detective in the case investigated these roommates and their alibis. Take a listen.
Do you know Zachary Billings?
Yes, Zachary Billings.
And Enrique was the other?
Yes.
With regard to those 2 individuals, did the police investigate their whereabouts at the time this crime occurred?
Yes, we did.
And were you able to establish where they were at the time that this crime occurred?
Yes.
And were they associated in any way with this crime pursuant to your investigation?
They were not.
But even after Detective Flores answered that question for the prosecutor, the jury doesn't seem satisfied. They have questions. Questions about the roommates, questions about the forensics, whose prints were left in the room. What is this jury thinking about? Welcome back to In Session and the death penalty murder trial of Jodi Arias. I am Vinny Politan. Great to have you with us. My big issue today is what is this jury thinking about? Because this is a jurisdiction where a jury can ask questions, and I think that's great, because ultimately I want their questions answered, right? There's some jurisdictions where the jury's just got to sit there, right? But here they can write down questions,